Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making two soups. First is Rapini Greens potato and bacon, and then it'll be black-eyed peas with potato and bacon. Let's start with the green soup first. I'm going to show you all the ingredients I'll be using for this soup. I did buy some rapini. It came in a bunch with these broccolini as well for $1 at the reduced produce section of Fiesta Farms. They are yellowing a bit, but they're still good for cooking. I have some parsley that needs to be used up, and I'm just using whatever I have in my fridge. A couple stalks of celery, and some onion that's drying out that needs to be used up. So this is really using what I have in my pantry, in my fridge, my freezer. I'm using some bouillon powder, and I'm also using some dried onion flakes since I don't have a lot of fresh onion to use. I will be using up these two green onions, and these potatoes need to be used up as well. I also have some fresh garlic. I'll be using half a pack of this bacon. It was $5, 375 grams, and this is from Wild Fork. I pulled it out of my freezer. It's really thick slices, really good quality bacon, and it cooks up very well. So I'll be using half a pack of this, so about $2.50 worth. I'm going to put my wok pot on medium-high and let it heat up while I chop my bacon finely. Add bacon. Let it cook for a couple minutes. I'm prepping everything as I go with this recipe, so while this bacon is cooking for the first few minutes, I chop my celery. I'm going to prep my carrots. Bacon makes a great base for soups. In goes the carrots. Because this bacon is cured and smoked, it makes the soup taste like it's been cooked a few days ago, so it has that nice concentrated flavor. But the soup will be ready in 30 minutes. Now I'm just adding my chopped onion and garlic. I add about half a teaspoon of dried onion flakes and 1 loaded teaspoon of chicken bouillon unsalted powder. Add the chopped potatoes, and I cut it this size so it can cook fast. I want the soup to be ready in under 30 minutes. Rosemary, potatoes, and bacon go really well together. So I add about half a teaspoon, and then I'm just going to sprinkle some garlic powder, about a quarter teaspoon, and some black pepper as well. It's time to add some water to fill the spot after this is sauteed. I turn the heat up to high, and while this comes to a boil, I'm going to cut my greens. I'm just adding the thicker stems in advance. It's not necessary, but I like them to cook a bit longer. I'm going to reduce this to medium-high and cover it and cook it for 10 minutes. This has been bubbling away. Give it a stir, and I'm testing the doneness of the potato now. The spoon goes right through it. Taste the broth to check for the salt content. And then I want to mash up some of these potatoes so the starch can release and it can thicken the soup a little bit. So some chunks will be bigger than others, and it's just going to have loads of veggies and chunks. This smells amazing. I add some salt, and then what I'm going to do is just cover this and cook it for another 5 minutes, and it'll be ready for the greens. Some of the starches have released from the potatoes and it's thickened up a bit, so it's time to add the greens. You could use any type of greens here, kale or spinach, whatever you have. I'm using this because it was on sale. I'm just going to add some water and then a sprinkle more salt so the greens can get salted as well. Give this a very good mix and we'll cover it and cook it for another 5 minutes. Potatoes and bacon pair really well together, but so do greens and bacon. So naturally, potatoes, greens, and bacon just work. And this is cooked. Rapini and broccolini doesn't need cooking for a long time. I'm just adding a bit more water. And the parsley. Parsley doesn't need to be cooked for long. So I'll just stir this to incorporate it. And the heat from the pot itself and the liquids will cook the parsley. So at this point, I'll put the lid on and just turn the heat off. Here is our finished soup, and it's time to serve it up. It's very colorful and extremely nutritious, and these flavors work so well together. This recipe made 3.5 liters of soup, which is 14 cups, and you can get many servings from this. This was delicious. The flavors worked so well together. Let's make a black-eyed peas, potato, and bacon soup. This recipe is finished in under 30 minutes as well, and it's extremely filling and nutritious. I soaked just under 2 cups of dried black-eyed peas overnight, and I'm just getting rid of any floaty bits. Make sure to wash it. It has plumped up nicely. And do also pick out any ones that are discolored. I ended up getting close to 5 cups of soaked black-eyed peas once it absorbed the water. I'm going to be using this can of baked potato and bacon soup I had in my pantry. It's almost close to its expiration date, so I want to use it up before it gets wasted. I'll be adding some liquid chicken bouillon and a bay leaf as well. I do have here some dried rosemary. It does go well with the bacon flavor. I'll be adding some dried thyme as well. And here I have a baked potato that I had left over, so I want to use this up. I'm just using a 1/4 cup of frozen spinach that I had in the freezer. That's optional, you don't need to use that. I'm using up some veggies from my fridge, like some celery stalks and carrot, onion, and garlic. I'm using some bacon grease as my cooking fat. You don't have to use this, you can use your preferred cooking fat or cooking oil. I save my bacon grease because it adds great flavor. My deep pan is on medium-high, and I'm going to add some celery. I'm cutting everything as I go as usual, so that saves time. Add carrots, and then I'm chopping my onions and garlic. To this I add my bay leaf. It already smells really nice in here. I add the chopped garlic, and I add about 1/3 of a teaspoon of dried rosemary and a pinch of dried thyme, as it's very potent and I don't want it to overpower anything. Now comes my potatoes. You could use 3 medium-sized raw potatoes and a couple strips of bacon instead of using the can of soup. I add the black-eyed peas and a loaded tablespoon of the chicken bouillon liquid. I also add a lot of pepper to this soup. I love black pepper, but you can add as little or as much as you'd like. Black-eyed peas are so nutritious. I grew up eating this and I love it to this day. I'm filling this pot so the water is almost at the rim. And then I will bring this to a boil. Don't worry about skimming off the foam. Once this is boiling, I'm going to cover it and let it cook for 15 minutes. It's been about 15 minutes of cooking and a lot of the water has absorbed. I did cook this on a medium-high with the lid on in hopes that it would cook faster. I'm surprised at how cooked through these are. They're nice and soft and just a teeny bite left. Time to add the spinach and some water. It's time to add the can of soup. Once this is in, the spinach won't need cooking for long. And if you use fresh spinach, then it could be done in under 5 minutes really. So I tasted for salt and I added just a pinch more salt. And we'll just bring this back to a boil and then we'll just cover it and cook it for 5 minutes or so. The eye of black-eyed peas does release quite a lot of pigment, and that's why it adds a grayish look to your soup. But don't let the color of this soup fool you. It's delicious. I'm happy with the consistency of this soup, so it's done, and I'll turn the heat off and serve some up. I got 14 cups of soup from this recipe, and that's 3.5 liters as well. This was so wholesome and hearty and tasty. While this soup doesn't contain a whole lot of bacon, it is quite filling and does have a lot of protein from the black-eyed peas, and it does have big bacon flavor. Thanks for watching.